Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our December 8th and our last board meeting of calendar year 2020. As you can see, the Board of Education is back this evening. We are live, and we are up on the stage so that we could properly socially distance ourselves from each other, in some cases more than others, but we are here for you, and we are ready to resume our activities. So I would ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which is located to my right behind Mr. Pintillo. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note that adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, has been provided by action of the Board of Education at its regular meeting on December 10th, 2019. Notices to the Courier News and Star Ledger circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education website and building bulletin board, Administrative Headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. Mr. Boyce, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Jess. Ms. Matthews.
Here.
Mr. Carlson.
Here.
Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Puntillo.
Here.
Dr. Sadin.
Here.
Mr. Kimmick.
Here.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Sergio.
Present.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Here.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. At this time, we are open to the public for comments on any item on our agenda. Ms. McAtee will still be funneling the comments to us, so please, if you have a comment, get it in, and she will let us know.
We have one comment on board agenda items. It's from Sally Booth, 33 Bullion Road. I would like to acknowledge the outstanding work done by Ms. Jennifer Ferguson during the past 7 years at Somerville Middle School. She has been an outstanding special education teacher who developed and taught the LLD class, created a school store with her students, initiated Employee of the Month award, was a mentor to many of the MAP students, and was the peer leadership advisor for the past 4 years. She will be greatly missed by students and staff alike.
Great. Thank you. And Ms. Booth, thank you for your comments. We all join in that sentiment. If there's no other public comment on the agenda, may I have a motion to close the public comment, please?
So move, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion on those items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, moving on. May I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the November 10th regular and executive sessions, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion on those items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, Board President's Report. First, I'd just like to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. It's coming up very quickly. Let's hope that the holidays and the new year bring some much needed stress relief and a vaccine that helps us to move forward. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for allowing me to serve as board president for the past 2 years. This will be my last meeting as board president, and I just want to thank everybody and hope that I did a good job during my 2 years in working with the board, the administration, and the public. And last but not least, we had a very important day yesterday. Something happened in a very good occasion. One of the best business administrators in the state, Mr. Brian Boyce, who's sitting to my right, celebrated a birthday. So we'd like to wish Brian a very happy birthday. Dr. Tien said later on he's going to burst out into song because he didn't have a cake for us this evening. So we look forward to that as well.
That'll be off mic.
So moving right along to the Superintendent's Report.
Okay, we're going to start off with a presentation by Dr. Tanya McDonald, which is our HIB self-assessment presentation. There's no visual.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. Tonight, I'm going to do a very quick update on the annual harassment, intimidation, and bullying self-assessment. This is something that's done annually under the direction of the anti-bullying specialist at each building in collaboration with the school safety teams, where they really look at the process and procedures that have occurred over the course of the year, and they give themselves a rating based on how well they feel they meet the specific criteria. These criteria relate to everything from timelines, following law, training of staff and students, and programs that really do serve to proactively address and prevent bullying, harassment, and intimidation incidences. I am really happy to report that even with all the chaos from last year with COVID, the fact that we went virtual, the fact that there was not a lot of guidance until later on once we shut down from the state about how to kind of proceed with certain investigations, that each school still met at a 90%, at least a 90% compliance rate. The highest score you can get is a 78, and out of that, I'm proud to report that the high school received 70 out of 78 points. The middle school received 72 out of 78 points, and Vanderveer scored a 74 out of 78. The areas in kind of doing an analysis of where the points were lost, some of which were something we didn't really have a lot of control over. When we shut down, there were a couple open cases that we had to halt until we got direction from the state as to whether or not we would be legally allowed to continue to do the investigations virtually. Once we were given the green light, those were wrapped up professionally and with diligence in terms of getting those closed so that both the potential victim and aggressor could obviously have some closure and receive any services that might be necessary. And the other one had to do with programming. A lot of the programs that we utilize for preventative measures are developed in a manner that really need to be done in person. So not every program was able to be completed with integrity as per the way they're developed because of the fact that we had to go 100% virtual. So hopefully these scores will continue to go up, but again, very, very proud to report that we're at least 90% compliance in terms of each of our buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. On to district highlights. And I'm going to do Vanderveer, the middle school, and then the high school, but I'm not really doing much in the high school. So our student representatives will now be doing most of the high school, if not all of the high school, and I'll talk to Mr. Foley about that as we move forward, so I don't steal your thunder anymore. So Vanderveer held its 35th annual food drive from November 2nd through November 30th. This year's theme was All In, Stronger Together. The staff and families of Vanderveer School donated generous amounts of non-perishable goods, as well as a gift card donation from the Wegmans food store to allow for more food to be purchased and donated. Mrs. Duckworth and Ms. Kistra led the VDV committee, which partnered with the Somerville preschool to 8th grade PTO and the YMCA to collect and deliver the donations to the Food Bank of Somerset County and the Somerville Alliance for Food Education. Thank you to all who participated at every level. Mrs. Spears, who is one of the kindergarten teachers, hosted a virtual Zumba class for the teachers and staff of Vanderveer on December 1st. The health and wellness of our coworkers are extremely important during these unprecedented times, and everyone continues to do their part in supporting one another. Thank you to Mrs. Spears for leading the Zumba class. The Scholastic Fall Book Fair wrapped up on November 29th, and Vanderveer would like to thank all the families and community members who purchased books or made donations to the book fair. The students of Vanderveer are direct recipients of your generosity and support, so thank you very much. For Somerville Middle School's first ever virtual parent-teacher conferences went exceptionally well, thanks to the technical expertise of Melissa McEntee and Chris Mulligan. Our parents were very impressed with how the teachers informed them of their child's progress, even though the conferences had to be held virtually. The last SMS Curriculum, Materials, and Supplies Distribution Day did not have as large a turnout as prior ones. However, we are hoping for an increase in the number for the December Distribution Day. So please contact the middle school for details for all those virtual students in the middle school. Somerville Middle School's counseling department, led by Mrs. Badawi, along with several teachers, are spearheading an SMS holiday food drive. They are in need of non-perishable food donations to help supply local food pantries and soup kitchens. Our humanity, kindness, and generosity to others is what defines us as a community. SMS's counseling department, this time led by Dr. Szynski, continue to hold a monthly SMS Be Good raffle meant to inspire and motivate our students to be kind, thoughtful, caring, generous, etc., to each other and members of our school community. And SMS's Fall Spirit Week is expected to be one of the most creative and engaging and will be their first hybrid Spirit Week. The only item I'm going to be doing for Somerville High School will be Mrs. Flacker's Tomorrow's Teachers class recently took a trip to Somerville Middle School to observe teachers in action in their classrooms. Students took notes during their observations and then compared those observations to what they had learned about developmental levels and instructional techniques. Thank you to our middle school. And I just want to say thanks to our tech team who is out here tonight in full force doing the live stream and have been really by the board side throughout this pandemic. And they've been able to live stream all of our board meetings. So thank you very much. You guys are greatly appreciated. And that's it for the district highlights.
Thank you. And now, without further ado, we'll turn it over to the lovely ladies from Somerville High School.
All right, good evening, everybody. This month and this past month has been quite exciting for the students with the restoration of different clubs, which include but are not limited to Genesis Club, Yearbook Club, Medical Sciences, and Drama Club. But the one club I really want to zone in on is SMAC, which stands for Student Movement Against Cancer. This was a club that was started back in March, but it is not a Somerville club. It's a statewide club that has 13 chapters and was founded in 2001. So this program has raised over $2 million for cancer research and for leadership and donations. So the first meeting actually starts tomorrow, and it's really exciting because it's a new chapter for our school in addition to the 13 chapters that have already been created in New Jersey. So its hopes are to become nationwide. Yearbook Club has been spreading news on their yearbooks, trying to email students and getting more interaction through that. And really, it's been a little slow overall, so there's not as much information I can give you now, but with clubs, it's really exciting and students are feeling the connection and getting back into normalcy.
Amanda, if I may ask, I don't know if I missed it or not, but...
Microphone.
Oh, but...
Turn it on.
It is on. Can you hear me now? Yeah. What is the enrollment in SMAC right now?
The enrollment in SMAC is about, the student body now, I would say, is about 35 students, so it has been growing quickly. Its first meeting was in March 13th, but obviously it was cut short due to COVID, but its hopes to get back and running are looking forward right now.
Great, I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
All right, and I was going to plan on focusing on more of the virtual and hybrid focus of the school environment, because last month Amanda gave her views on that. So I figured this month we'd switch it up and I would focus more on my view of it. I think that we have been doing really well as like a school community. All the teachers are very strict about masks and regulating the masks and making sure everyone is wearing them properly. And then we ended up having that 2-week portion of time where we had to stay home. And it was really good to see the, like everyone all come together on Google Meets, because now everyone was in one spot. And it was just overall, I feel like, really beneficial to have everyone in one place. But at the same time, being in person, I feel like also is really beneficial. So it's kind of difficult to like say whether one was better than the other now that we've experienced what it would be like to be all together like on one platform, because obviously we can't all be together in person at the moment, which is really unfortunate, but to be together all in one spot just really showed that like it provided more of a view on how it is difficult when we're all separate and half of us are online and half of us are in person, because not everyone gets the same amount of attention. But I thought that it went really well, all virtual, and now being back in person, it just kind of, you can tell a lot of the differences between the two. Also, mock trial is getting up into their program as well. They started back in September, but we've gotten a lot more of involvement, especially at our last meeting, which was last Thursday, I believe, or last Tuesday. We got a whole bunch of more enrollments into that, and we are set to have our first actual trial in the beginning of January. And then if we do advance, we would continue throughout that month as well.
Excellent, thank you. If you need somebody for your trial to be a defendant, we volunteer Mr. Sergio. Yeah. Ladies, have you started to submit your college applications yet?
Yes, I actually just finished mine yesterday.
Excellent.
Well, because I'm a junior, I'm just looking currently,
Okay.
but just took the SATs back in October. So things are kind of restoring a little bit, and hopefully the tours will pick back up in person, but a lot of them are virtual, so
Virtual,
it
yeah.
has been a little hard, but hopefully things look up. I do want to add one more thing. Congratulations to Ms. Hugger on Educator of the Year and Mr. Malisi
Mr. Malisi.
on
Educational specialist.
name each year.
Yeah.
yeah, he won too, so congratulations.
Great. Great, thank you. All right, moving along to finance, I will turn it over to Mr. Carlson.
Thank you. It is recommended that items 1 through 6 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Item 1 would be the board secretary financial reports. Item number 2 would be the acceptance of the monthly reports. Item number 3, payroll. Item number 4, the bills list for Vanderveer and Somerville Middle School. Item number 5 are line item transfers, and item number 6, non-public school security aid program that's continuing with Immaculata High School.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call on those items, please?
Yes, Ms. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson, Mr. Pontillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Okay, it is recommended that items 7 through 12 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Items number 7 will be the bills list for the Somerville High School and district-wide. Item number 8 would be the salting and related services interlocal services agreement between the board and the borough. Item number 9 would be the CARES Act reimbursement agreement with Somerset County. Item number 10, disposal of obsolete materials. Item number 11 is the HVAC renovations to the guidance suite at Somerville High School. And item number 12 is a donation that we received from Staples for the Somerville High School.
And item 13.
Item 13 is, yes, field trips that are scheduled, but at this time, we need to approve them, but there's nothing really scheduled under the current conditions.
Thank you. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pontillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes.
Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to curriculum, turn it over to Mrs. Van Horn.
The curriculum committee last met on November 10th. The committee discussed the success of the PD Day programs. The middle school is going to do a book club on equity, and Joanne Mullen is doing both the middle school and high school book club on the wild card. We have data from both the middle school and high school, discussed how math performance continues to lag, but ELA is doing somewhat better. The high school, if it moves to block scheduling, will have a freshman seminar class. We discussed other possible electives, but curriculum writing needs to focus on social studies, math, and science. We discussed the significant investment in updating the curriculum that is going to be required in the next 2 years. It is recommended that items 1 through 2 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, unconfirmed cases at Vanderveer. Number 2, the annual preschool operational plan.
Thank you. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pontillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio, Yes. Mr. Jess?
Yes.
And it is recommended that items 3 through 6 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 3, harassment, intimidation, and bullying report at the high school. The two cases at the high school. Number 4, the HIV self-assessment. Number 5, the 2021 Somerville Board of Education meeting dates. And number 6, travel expenditure resolution.
Thank you. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Is that Dr. Saden? I thought I heard coming from that side of the room. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Saden?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to buildings and grounds, Mr. Puntillo.
Yes, all work orders are being completed in a timely manner. We had the elevator at Vanderveer serviced, and we had a circulation pump in the middle school replaced.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to technology, Mr. Kimmick.
Thank you, Mr. Jess. We met last Thursday. We talked about a number of items, among them this meeting here and the format we'll be using for this, strategies for maintaining device inventory and how to address current and projected needs. We discussed budget considerations, future building level and district considerations. We talked about feedback from the full distance experience recently at the high school, and we talked about strategies for promoting student engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the moment that everyone who's back here live has been waiting for, because we can no longer sit at home and turn our cameras off. So I will turn it over to for our athletic and activity report to Mr. Sergio.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for that last address, you know.
Is there, wait, I must ask, is there music?
No, I do not have music today. I do not. And the wind just went right out of the sails, but anyway. So, anyway, happy holiday season to all of the Ville community out there. I want to wish everyone the safest and joyous of a holiday season. These times are no doubt surreal and they are challenging, but there is still joy to find with your immediate family and loved ones. This is my last Board of Ed meeting sitting here in this chair, and I just want to say that for the last 3 years, President Olson and President Jess, it has been an absolute pleasure to serve alongside you. You guys truly led by example, and for those that may take this seat in the future, I wish them the best of luck as well. I can only just make one request, that when we do reorganize, may I please sit next to my dear friend here. So just so I have that on public record. So
And I knew there was going to be some kind of sentence or something that we're going to have to bear moving forward, but that's fine.
But anyway, on to the report. Yesterday, the New Jersey Interstate Scholastic Athletic Association and the Sports Advisory Task Force provided the schools with their return to play update, which is going to include this year virtual contact guidelines. These virtual guidelines are put in place to assist with preparing student athletes emotionally, socially, and physically for the upcoming season. By having our winter coaches design programs to build on these initiatives would be a great way to get started early. Those details will come from Athletic Director Davis soon and the coaches, but he wants to remind parents out there, please, if you are interested, because it is volunteer only, you register as soon as possible to the Family ID. So now, as far as in-person practices, competition, and competition endings, the dates are going to be as follows. So for virtual start, basketball, bowling, and fencing will start on the 14th of December. Swimming will start January 11th, and wrestling March 1st. For practice start times, basketball, fencing, and bowling will begin January 11th. The competition will start on January 26th and will end on March 6th of 2021. Swimming practice will start on February 1st, with competition starting February 16th and ending March 27th. And wrestling will begin March 1st, with competition starting March 16th and ending April 24th, 2021. Again, these dates and specific mandates and recommendations, and they're subject to change by the state COVID-19 climate. Spring sports will follow with their update on return to play on December 11th. And with that said, I want to make 2 notes for the end of our fall season. So let's look at the orange and black attack, I call them, or the monsters of the mid-state, our Somerville High School football team. They finished their season, albeit short, with a 7-0 record overall. They were undefeated, 6th in the USA Today state rankings. They were also 5th straight time, the Mid-State 38 Mountain Division champions. #1 team in Central Jersey and the Central Jersey Sports Radio Team of the Year. And this is how we persevere. Okay, I also want to give a special acknowledgement to our champions, and I'm calling them champions, our girls soccer team. Because under Coach Jordy Mahir, after crushing Ewing 10-0 on November 18th, they traveled to Hopewell Valley in the Group 3 state finals. Hopewell Valley came out fast with 2 quick goals, but then DeVille tightened up and scored a goal and a beautiful header by Caitlin Scott to keep it within 1 goal until late in the game, and when Hopewell Valley added that insurance goal to seal it. But I do want to hand it to that girls team, for they are champions in our book, and they're always living Ville by example, so can I get a round of applause for that? And field hockey. Okay, I love to report on our senior student athletes and where they are committed to going. It is a small list right now, but in field hockey, senior Amy Kim will be playing field hockey at Haverford University. Jenna Kotler received an offer from Scranton University to play on that field hockey team, and we hope to hear sooner about that. So, and last but not least, I like to speak to this all the time, and I always thank Dr. Puntillo over here for allowing me to speak to this. But every year, guitarist, singer-songwriter Peter Mayer and the Peter Mayer Group, they've been performing at the United Reformed Church for, I think it was at least the last 10 to 15 years. This annual concert was the making of Peter's relationship with Somerville's own Rick Fontana and Dan Puntillo. So Rick and Dan, along with the SEF, have created one of the best and most tranquil ways to get into the holiday spirit. Not to mention, proceeds go to local charities like Robert Wood Johnson here in Somerset and the Somerville Education Foundation. One of the brightest spots of the concert includes the Somerville High School Choir, directed by Karen Gorzinski. So just when everyone thought that our current situation would ruin the holiday spirit, Peter, Karen, and company said, not this year, for they will perform the show virtually this Friday, December 11th at 7:30 p.m. Registration is required by visiting www.facebook.com/Peter Mayer Group. Easy enough to say, and the login details will be provided then. Unlike the past, viewing of the concert is free, so feel free to take a portion of your savings and donate to support those 2 local charities mentioned via PayPal. So, and you can find the details on that when you visit the Facebook site. So with that is my report, sir, and I wish you and the board and your families a great holiday season.
Thank you, Luke. Same to you. Great report. And one thing that Luke didn't mention about Peter Mayer is that for those of you who are Jimmy Buffett fans, Peter Mayer is the lead guitarist for the Jimmy Buffett Choral Reefer Band. So we are very fortunate that he comes to Somerville every year through Mr. Puntillo's help and his friendship with Peter Mayer, and it is an outstanding concert. So I would encourage everybody to please take that link and log on, register, and have a great time on Friday, because it's really a great show.
And if I may add too, thank you, sir, I appreciate that, because if I may add too, they will continue with the raffles for the signed guitar and the Jimmy Buffett tickets. Is that correct, Dan?
Or are they going to continue with the raffles?
Yes, there's a guitar. Yes, there's a signed guitar by the band. The largest contribution will get that. And then there's future tickets for the next 2 years for the Stars and Promises concert. You know, for me, I first saw that concert about a dozen or so years out in Pennsylvania. And when I walked out of the concert, I told my friend Rick, I said, you know, we could bring this to Somerville. And we've been attracting people to Somerville from Florida, California, Montana, Maine, and they come to Somerville, and they come and they enjoy our town. We have a beautiful town that we should show off. And they come here, they eat in our restaurants, unfortunately not this year, but actually the crescendo of the evening for me is the chamber choir. they get to work with Peter and the band, and they, together with Peter and the band, sing. Now, this year is a little different. I know Karen must have worked really hard. I think she probably sweated a lot trying to figure out how we're going to get this done, but they apparently got it done. I have not seen it. They're going to be part of the show on Friday night. So for parents who want to see what our kids can do, Friday night's a place to see it. And you can do it in the comfort of your own home.
There's links to it on the Friday messages, the Friday message, there's direct links to it.
Yeah.
So you can get
So
into
thank you
that
for
way
that.
too.
It should also be noted that it's free, and that if you want to see the guitar, if you go to Peter Mayer's Facebook page, also the link that Dr. Tehan puts in, you can check it all out there.
And Luke, if you want to try the guitar out, it's in my kitchen.
Thank you, Mr. Pintillo. All right, moving along to personnel. I'll turn it over to Dr. Tehan.
All right, for PS 8, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, and the appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number 1, to approve the appointment of Amy Sarbuk to a TCNJ student to complete her field experience, either virtual or in person. Number 2, to approve an unpaid FMLA leave for Deborah Cordigiani, and she's from Somerville Middle School. And number 3, to approve an extension to the unpaid child care leave of absence for Heather Duda. Number 4, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position of 2/5 occupational therapist for Juliet Pasanti. Number 5, to approve an FMLA FCRA leave for Jennifer Peist. Number 6, to accept the resignation of Jennifer Ferguson. Number 7, to approve a FMLA FFCRA leave for Christina Brophy. Number 8, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position of teacher of science at Somerville Middle School for Sarah Harrington. Number 9, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position of teacher of special education at the middle school for Jenna Lee Staves. Number 10, to approve an extension to the unpaid child care leave of absence for Sally Stanek. Number 11, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position for Andrew Flanagan. Number 12, to accept the resignation of Donald Lizito from the position of part-time instructional assistant. Number 13, to approve a FMLA FFCRA leave for Kathleen McCabe. Number 14, to approve an FMLA FFCRA leave for Tony Ann Salvatore. Number 15, to approve the FMLA FFCRA leave for staff member 5475. Number 16, it would be the same leave for staff member 5270. Number 17 is the same kind of leave for staff member 5163. Number 18 is the same kind of leave for staff member 5844. Number 19 is the same kind of leave for staff member 5232. Number 20 is the same kind of leave for 5240. Number 21, you can cross off because that was already covered in number 5. It was just a repeat. And number 22 is to amend the start date for Amanda Lozier from November 30th to November 25th.
Great, thank you. May I have a motion on those items, please?
So moved, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Dr. Sadin.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
For 9 through 12 and district-wide, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of Superintendent of Schools. Appointments and salaries contingent upon verified documentation. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Benjamin Calderon, an FDU student, to complete his field experience. Number 24, to approve the listed individuals to the position of substitute. Number 25, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position for Namisha Patel Shah. Number 26, to accept the resignation of the listed individuals from the position of Winter Guard Advisor. Number 27, to approve the appointment of Tristan Miller to the position of Esports Club Advisor. Number 28, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to administer constructive response tasks for the portfolio appeal. Number 29, to approve an extension to the leave replacement position of teacher of science at Somerville High School. for Holly Arneson. Number 30, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence for Colin Williamson. Number 31, to accept the retirement resignation of Debbie Feeder, position of secretary at Somerville High School. Number 32, to approve the FMLA FFCRI leave for staff member 4867. 33, to approve the same kind of leave for staff ID number 4734. Number 34, the same kind of leave for staff number 5107. Number 35, this FMLA FFCRA leave for Ellen Stein. Number 36, the FMLA FFCRA leave for Douglas Gravier. Number 37, appointment of Douglas Rajavitz, and I always get his name wrong, to the position of volunteer for the high school music program. Number 38, to approve the appointment of Lee Wild, position of assistant cheerleading coach. And number 39, to approve the paid medical leave of absence for Nicole Appizato.
Thank you. May I have a motion on those items, please?
So moved, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. May I have a second?
Second.
I got somebody over there. Mrs. Van Horn? Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadin?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi?
yes,
Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close old business, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Is there any new business? Oh, we are racking it up tonight. May I have a motion to close new business, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. We are now open to the public for anything that the public would like to comment on, and Ms. McAtee will read us their comment.
We have a comment from Aileen Levine in Flemington, New Jersey. She said, I would like to take a moment to recognize the BDB staff as a whole who always give 110% on behalf of the students and the Somerville community. Here are just a few recent examples. Number one, fourth grade teachers held a virtual science day instead of the usual in-person one. Fourth grade classes met together virtually to listen to a scientist, ask questions, and share their thoughts on the topic of caring for our environment. Number two, the Angel Tree Committee is once again collecting and distributing gifts to students in need, thanks to the contributions of the VDB staff. Number three, teachers are giving of their own time by helping out with biweekly virtual pickups. The next comment is from Sally Booth, 33 Bullion Road. I have several questions for the board regarding COVID protocols. Number one, how is the contact tracing conducted? Does the Department of Health do it, or does the school district? What is the standard you are using for a close contact? Are the people you are contacting forthcoming? I understand there is a lot of hesitancy to talk to contact tracers. How do you verify that you have all the correct people who may have been exposed? What is the general number of people contacted? Number two, the nurse in the middle school has been out for several days at a time. Who is in charge of temperature checks when she is absent? What happens when a child and/or staff member feels sick in school and there is no nurse? A substitute nurse is not always in the building. Who is in charge of reporting the illness if the nurse is not there? Number three, I live in Bernards Township, which is in Somerset County. We received regular updates about COVID cases and can easily access district communications via the website. For example, a letter went out 2 days ago stating the following. 2 students at Ridge High have tested positive for COVID-19. All close contacts have been notified. A staff member at Oak Street School is presumed positive. There are no close contacts in this case. A staff member at Ridge High School is presumed positive. All close contacts have been notified. I got this information from the website. Would it be possible to get this kind of specific information on our website? I know letters go out via school messenger, but it is generally not as specific. The last time the website was updated was 11/16, and we received a school messenger November 25th. Bernards Township communicates with the community practically every day. And the next two comments are from Pat Frayne, 201 Scobie Lane. Thank you to Jennifer Ferguson and Debbie Fedor for all you have done for the Somerville community. I would also like to thank Jerry Foley for finally letting educators know whether or not they were possibly exposed to the coronavirus. I would also like to wish everyone a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season.
Is that it?
There are no more comments.
Excellent, thank you. May I have a motion to close the public session, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Saden. Thank you. All right, look at that. May I have a second?
Second, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. So to Ms. Levine, thank you very much for your comments. Vanderbilt staff is awesome. I know that from when my daughters were there, and they continue to do a good job. So thank you very much for recognizing them, and thank you to the Vanderveer staff for everything you do. That's not to say, before everybody gets the pitchforks out, that I don't think that the middle school and the high school staffs are awesome and don't do anything, because I do. But I'm specifically relating to Ms. Levine, but everybody in the district is awesome, and thank you for all you're doing. To Ms. Booth, I'm going to let Dr. Tian respond to your questions. However, I will say that the question should be directed to the administration, because the board does not make the determination as to how the district is responding to COVID. That comes from the administration. We back them up. But one thing I will say, though, is that if you are a veteran teacher, I would hope that you would understand what the protocols are and what the procedures are when a school nurse is absent, because my understanding is that when a school nurse is absent, nurses from other buildings come to the school if they are needed. So I would hope that all veteran staff is aware of that moving forward. And lastly, to Mr. Frayne, thank you very much as well for your warm wishes and for your appreciation of Ms. Fedor and Ferguson as well. We certainly echo your sentiments and your comments. And now I'll turn over to Dr. Tian if he wishes to respond to Ms. Booth.
Sure. I guess first thing I was going to say the same thing that you just did, that when a nurse is out, just like any staff member that's out, their responsibilities are picked up by someone else. That's usually designated by the principal. The second part of her question, when she was talking about contract tracing, we have a number of our staff members, all the school nurses, as well as district and building administrators that have been certified as contract tracers after going through a Johns Hopkins course. And I can't comment about the health department and what their training is, but I'm pretty confident that they are quite competent in doing contract tracing. And in terms of anyone that wants to learn about, the specifics of contract tracing, I encourage you to go to the Johns Hopkins website. That's where we all enrolled for the course, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's open to anyone, and it's a free course. So you're welcome to go and check that out and become certified yourself, and we're happy to bring any of those people on board. I'm sure the township would be happy to use your free services as well. I can tell you that contract tracing takes an extraordinary amount of time. Often we get hints or tips that a case is happening, usually in the afternoon or the evening, and it takes us hours that night as well as into the next day. And it's not just one person working on it, it's a team of us working on it. The more cases there are, the more time that's eaten up doing this. But we are extremely thorough in our contract tracing, to the point that the health department has actually made very positive comments about the thoroughness of our contract tracing. In fact, Dr. Zerwicki has taken it upon herself, and I think I'm giving the right person the credit for it, to start a visual diagram of the contract tracing for each case, where we're connecting one individual to another to trace it to see where its origin is. And that's been really, really helpful for all of us. Trying to think what else her questions were.
The last one had to deal, she asked with regards to updates on COVID and putting additional information on the website.
Our district, one of the things just back up a little bit, superintendents in Somerset County meet every week During the initial pandemic, we were meeting probably every single day. And then we started meeting with the health department several times a week. We've scaled that back, but we meet with them as frequently as we can, which is usually once a week. And one of the things I shared with them were the letters that we send out to our families, and as a form of communication, to ask them what their impression was of our communications and whether they felt that our communications were not detailed enough, too detailed, were we being transparent, were we including the right things, and they said that we were spot on, that it's exactly what we should be saying, and it's what they encourage all school districts to do. So, and that approach is shared by many of the school districts. I'm not going to comment on what other school districts do, but I know from my conversations, because I then asked the entire roundtable, and the majority of them are doing similar letters that we send out. And the reason why I also know the letters are similar is because we collaborate, we share. Somebody writes a letter, it gets shared with the rest of the group, and then that group tweaks it. And then that's how, and you tweak it based upon the situation that you have. And in terms of the communications, not only do we send out our weekly Friday message, which other districts have read our messages and are shocked that we give out that much details about all the things going on in their district. They were quite impressed by it, but they also were hoping that it would not serve as a model for them because they do not want to take that on because it is a pretty big undertaking. But not only do we do our Friday message, but anytime there's an important event, whether it's a COVID communication or any other communication, we formulate a letter for that as well and send that out to the community. Now, I know some people hear cases before we're done investigating, and they expect us to come out with information immediately, but that would be very irresponsible of us if we did that. We need to do the full contact tracing, which, as I said, is not a 1-second thing. It takes hours upon hours upon hours. And one thing I can say for the team here in Somerville, they are thorough, they are professional, and they go and make sure that everything that they do is well thought out and well done, and the communication then is appropriate for what it needs to be. And as far as the messages every day, we've actually gotten a lot of feedback from families. They don't want a message every day. They actually start to tune it out when we send out a message every day. Hence, that's the reason why we do our Friday messages, and we start to do those messages in between if it's something that's important. And the benefit of that is they know that when they get a message besides the normal Friday message at around the normal time, that it's probably something that is important that they should be paying attention to. So I think that sums up everything that was asked.
Thank you. Myron? I kind of tuned you out there.
I know.
Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I figured
Just kidding.
it's like the Friday message, right?
Absolutely.
It's too long for you.
Absolutely. But members of the public, please, if you have any questions or comments regarding the communication that's being sent out, please don't hesitate to let Dr. Teen and the administration know. I know that he has been doing a good job of getting information out there and ensuring that everybody knows what's happening. But you know, we also have questions at times and ask Dr. Teen about the communication. And he has amped it up, and we are satisfied with what's going on. But please don't stop asking the questions and providing examples. What one school district does might be good for that one, but as Dr. Teen said, it might not be good for everybody. But we are always looking at ways that we can get better and to help the public and our staff as well.
Derek, may I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Regarding the communication and the newsletter that goes out to all of our parents, the Friday message that you're speaking of, just like myself, where I work, our clients receive an email. My name is on that email list so that I know exactly what my clients are receiving. Are the teachers on that list, or can they add themselves to that list so that they feel that they are getting the same information?
To our Friday message?
Yeah. Yes, to our Friday message.
Friday message, yes. Actually, all of our communications also go out to our staff.
Okay.
So they get, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times, as long as the timing is right, a lot of times I will send out an email to staff summarizing it first, and then, sorry, board, you're usually second on my list. I usually send it to you guys second. because I feel that the staff should know first before you guys do, and then I let you guys know, and then the message goes out to the community. Now, sometimes that's only spaced a few minutes apart, because, you know, you don't want to send something out too late, because then parents really get like upset. They think something major is going on. So we try to time it as quickly as we can, but, you know, spacing it as much as we can too.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, well then, we wish everybody a very happy holiday, happy, healthy New Year. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And we are adjourned at 7:21. Enjoy your evening, everybody.